Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to ICBM. It's been a while since I covered this game, and that was mostly because it was getting a bit repetitive and I was waiting for one of the larger patches, and that is version 1.06 that I'm currently running with, on top of that, the Parabellum mod, previously known as the Naval Super Mod. This is the mod by Tarsus, and there has been a ton of stuff that changed. Now, I'm not going to go into a full description of everything that has changed. I think that it's more fun to discover that for yourself. I'm going to, as the the adjusted menu says, I'm going to nuke the AI. And this means that I'm going to be playing up against AI, because it's going to be a little easier to make sense of all the changes, or at least to talk over the changes when I'm not also trying to wrap my brain around trying to fight an enemy opponent in the form of a human. Now, what to play? How about the Pacific? Configure the starting loadout. Sorry, no, that's not that. Distribute. Now, some of the stuff that you might already know from the previous videos that I did on this is still in here, but there have been a lot of new additions. I'm not going to possibly be covering all of that in one video. It's just too much stuff. So I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to play the game and sort of show you stuff as it pops up. Starting with the LHA carrier. This is the landing helicopter assault. LHA, United States Navy hull classification symbol for the general purpose helicopter carrying amphibious assault ship. This thing carries helicopters, attack aircraft, drones, and ASWs, so anti-submarine warfare, not anti-surface warfare, anti-submarine warfare helicopters. It, however, does not carry air superiority fighters. So these things are great to use against, let's say, unprotected targets and submarines. Not so great when it comes to dealing with enemy aircraft. Now, considering that I have quite a lot of naval area around me, quite a lot of water, I'm going to go with a few of these, or rather a few naval units to show you some of the stuff that they have added. I also want to have anti-submarine warfare myself, which will unlock the ASW helicopter, so I can immediately use that on the LHA. I'm going to have the anti-submarine warfare aircraft, provided that I have a naval airbase. I'm going to have the mine layer, and I'm going to have the frigate. And the frigate and the mine layer are, of course, also new units. So, allowing for the purchase of a frigate, I would also like to have a cruiser and or a destroyer. Yeah, there we go. And then I have some points left, and that's going to go into a megaton bomb and a nuclear bomb. I'm going to set the AI to normal to give me a bit more time. And, well, let's just start it up. Alright, here we are, in the Pacific. That means Australia, the former colonies that we used to have a few hundred years ago. No, actually not that bad. And, of course, our closest neighbor is East Asia and West Asia. The United States posing somewhat less of a problem, or at least North America. South America could reach me if they wanted to. Potentially with an aircraft, and Russia generally isn't that much of a concern, provided that they don't send some sort of carrier force my way or decide to start hitting me with boomers. Africa, also one of the opponents that I have to keep an eye on, especially more naval oriented. Now, let's deploy the starting assets. My first concern is going to be to keep my own island safe, so let's set up an airbase here. And then start with the formation of a group, which is going to be the LHA, the cruiser, the frigate, and the destroyer. Now, let me show you what these things can do, at least in their current form, because they will get upgraded as I get more tech. The cruiser, pretty standard, as you might know it. Currently surface-to-surface missiles, nothing else. I still haven't researched SAM, so that's going to be my first priority. Destroyer, carrying both the torpedo and the surface-to-surface missile, can also be turned into an anti-sub/anti-ship weapon. And if I get anti-ship missiles, ASHMs, I'm going to be able to get a lot of kills with one destroyer. And then we have the LHA. This is the landing helicopter carrier, I suppose. It's going to carry 6 attack bombers, and 1 ASW helicopter. Now, the ASW helicopter is going to be very useful to extend my range of dealing with submarines, and of course it can drop depth charges once it spots one. And then there's the frigate. The frigate is a dedicated unit that deals with submarines, so anti-submarine warfare. They can also be outfitted with, let me show you, frigate here. They can also be outfitted eventually with the ASROC, so this is the anti-submarine rockets. RIM missiles, which are radar intercept missiles, which are capable of intercepting anti-ship missiles that are coming at my fleet. Anti-surface warfare helicopters, check, and deploy marker buoys. Marker buoys are buoys that deploy a sonar radius around them and allows you to detect submarines. Not quite sonar buoys, but probably more to the likes of SOSUS, so the sonar underwater surveillance system. Now, research. Hold on to your hats because there is a ton of stuff. You might know the cruise missile and the ASM, but the ASM now also gives you the Hellfire ATGM, which improves the attack helicopter. Yeah, that's a new unit, the attack helicopter. We have advanced ASMs, improving the Hellfire and the HARM. HARM is anti-radiation missile, hypersonic missiles, which also improve the ICBM. The HSRV, it's apparently a new, the hypersonic reentry vehicle. Maneuvering missiles, for now I want to go for this one, cruise missiles and SAMs. But let me show you some of the other stuff. We have new submarines. This is the Special Mission Submarine, which is capable of bringing a mini-sub with it, as well as nuclear strikes using the Unmanned Underwater Vehicle, aka the UUV. This thing fires the Status 6N UUV, which I haven't tried yet, but I believe it's a fairly devastating nuclear weapon. What else? Missile vehicles, as you might know them. We have the missile vehicles and the ICBM vehicles, ICBMs and heavy rockets. Thermonuclear bombs, not too much has changed here. It does, however, improve the attack bomber. MIRVs. MIRVs now provide you with quite a bit more, dare I say, bang for your buck, because it upgrades quite a lot. It already used to upgrade the SLBM and the standard ICBM, but now it also does that for the 2.5 megaton ICBM, the hypersonic, what was the term again? Hypersonic reentry vehicle, HSRV, and it does the same thing for the Skyfall. The Skyfall is a specific cruise missile, and you can see it here. It takes 2 hours to research, and it upgrades the battle cruiser, which is another ship that you can get. Enhanced radiation missiles or weapons, dirty bombs. This is more of a specialized weapon, because what this thing does is just boost the amount of radiation significantly. Not necessarily killing a whole lot of people. And let's say that you're ahead, quite far on points. You could throw down a couple of dirty bombs and force the end of the game by forcing the pollution level to go up. Now we also have the nuclear command and control. This allows you to get the command bunker, which buffs quite a few buildings around it, most notably silos. Increases fire rate, launch number, hit points for silos, for SSBNs, mobile ICBMs and ABM units, so also works for anti-ballistic missile defense. It also leads you to the intelligence center, and that's where we find the attack helicopter and the ISR, which is a transport, and leads you to buy the counter intel team. Now, why would you need a counter intel team? Well, the enemy can deploy ghost teams, which are unlocked by getting encrypted communication. Ghost teams are a bit like armies from the other mod that I covered, and they can execute missions behind enemy lines, although they're not as sturdy as armies in that mod. Also leading you to cyber warfare, and eventually allowing you to get the satellite jamming system. If you have an enemy that relies on satellites quite a bit, then what you can do is jam their data link. Now, the whole data link system is something I haven't really wrapped my head around, but it's something that is a different type of satellite and allows for all sorts of different technologies to function well. But if the enemy, for example, is using drones against you, and you want to make sure that those drones don't operate above your airspace, then you can use satellite jamming. At least that's how I understand it, but I could be wrong, and Tarsus will probably be down below in the comments section correcting some of the stuff that I've said here. Advanced optics, as usual, improves the satellite observation radius, but also works with reconnaissance aircraft. And the same can be said for surveillance drones. Reconnaissance aircraft, somewhere down farther below in the trajectory. We also have CWIS, next generation laser weapon systems, I think is what that stands for, LAWS. Able to target any airborne threat with various degrees of success. Nuclear engines required for the power to put massive irradiance in the air. So that improves the cruiser, but also requires the advanced optics, which means that you have to get that one as well. Laser weapons, shooting down ICBMs as they take off. An anti-satellite laser unlocks the Terra 3 ASAT. Again, I haven't tested this thing yet, but from the description I can make out that these things just shoot down satellites. But as you can see, it's a hell of an investment. 2 hours and 16 minutes, which usually is around the time when the AI decides to go nuclear. Next up, thermal camouflage, allowing your air bases to be much more, well, poorly detectable. So it upgrades the stealth of your air bases, which is very welcome. Also applies to silos, coastal batteries, over-the-horizon radars, mobile medium-range ballistic missile vehicles, and more. Makes ghost teams, so the guys that we had under encrypted comms, makes these guys undetectable by anything but counter-intel sensors. And again, intelligence sensor or intelligence center allows for the counter-intelligence team. I don't think that the AI will use the ghost teams and or the counter-intel team, but if you're playing against human opponents, then they might actually use that against you. What else do we get? We get RCS and terrain mapping, which upgrades the cruiser. The attack helicopter goes from an Apache to a Comanche. Gives attack helicopters and cruisers stealth, which is a very valuable asset. And that eventually leads to stealth aircraft. But again, stealth aircraft, big investment. As you can see, almost the entirety of this section of the tech tree lights up, with the exception of advanced shortwave radar. And that means that you need all of those techs to get to stealth aircraft. And that is just getting to stealth aircraft, that is not upgrading their weaponry yet. For that, you're going to have to go down and look at some of the other tech. We find SAMs, and SAMs now unlock the mobile SAM site, not stationary SAM sites. I think that the stationary SAM sites are completely done with. Everything is mobile now. Now those things can be upgraded to advanced SAMs, which also upgrades your frigates, your mobile SAM site, your cruiser and your destroyer. High altitude SAM, and eventually we unlock the Skynex air defense. This adds Skynex revolver guns to Skynex mobile defense, airports and naval bases, which is interesting because it means that your airbase now has its own anti-air, at least if I'm understanding this correctly. Then, almost to the bottom here, improved long-wave radar, which as you can see improves a whole host of units. Advanced long-wave radar, which improves even more. Advanced acquisition radar, and that unlocks the Skynex air defense. And finally, the CUAV sensors adds drone radar to multiple units, because normally drones cannot be detected, especially once they have been upgraded to stealthy drones. Space radar, over-the-horizon radar, and early warning system. These, I think, are pretty much unchanged. Maybe the price changed a bit, but then again, the game is constantly under development, so maybe it didn't change that much. ASAT and advanced ASAT weapons. Silent engines unlocks active sonar. Also improves the torpedo and the torpedo Mark II. Active sonar and its counterpart rig for ultra quiet I have found on the special missions submarine, which was here. And it allows for either running very, very sneakily with rig for ultra quiet or more detection and actual torpedo capability on that ship. Well, boat, I suppose. And then we have nuclear engines all the way down here, so powerful engines, changes the destroyer. This changes the torpedo, and this changes the, or unlocks rather, the heavy battle cruiser, which is yet another ship that you can buy. Anti-submarine warfare is one that I got right from the start, leading you to ASROCs, also the marker buoys, sonar buoys, and finally naval mines. I tried naval mines. I haven't gotten an enemy ship to make contact with them yet, but I suppose that in this particular playthrough it could be fun to use these. Because, not necessarily in my own area, but for example the coastline here may be interesting to mine. Something like that could really slow down the East Asian Navy. Of course, they can also spawn around Japan, so I'd have to do quite a bit of naval operations or mining operations, but it could prove valuable. Anyway, let's start playing. First orders of business, SAM tech and cruise missile tech and a couple of radar systems, because as it happens I am pretty blind, and the next thing after that is going to be a naval airbase. Alright. I'm not really looking to play with any alliances today, so I'm not going to invite any AI to my alliance. I'm going to allow air patrol, although... Yeah, see, with this one, allow air patrol, with the carrier, the LHA carrier, it's not that useful, I think. Because they can only carry bombs, or nuclear weapons, which is a bit excessive. And all that it does is allow these things to get shot down faster, which is far from ideal. So, usually on the LHA carrier, I just keep this thing off, the allow air patrol, until I find that the enemy air defenses have been neutralized. Now, what I can also do, I believe that this works, is normally the scout helicopters, the ASW helos, they used to fly, yeah, you can see it here. They used to fly to a specific point and you constantly had to give them orders. Now they don't. This one stays more or less in the position ahead where I designated it to be. So you can see that circle where the ASW helo is supposed to be changing as the frigate moves. And that's fantastic. Because what that allows you to do is have, for example, one helo in front and one helo behind, and you're extending your sonar network. And you're just using a mobile sonar screen, which is really, really handy, because it means that submarines have less of a chance to damage your fleet. I'm just going to see if I can, at least on the short run, force an encounter with the East Asian Navy, so I know that I can dominate this space. The thing is, I don't have SAMs yet, and I don't have cruise missiles yet, so I don't have anti-ship missiles yet. So if I do... Oh, that is not great. That is not great. I have SAMs coming up in 2 seconds, which is not a moment too soon. We're going to have to take this group away from here. Because those ships are under severe air attack. Yeah, the frigate's gone. And unfortunately this LHA carrier cannot do anything against it. At least, not without using SAMs. So it's now up to the SAMs to shoot down these bombers. Hopefully. LHA carrier under heavy attack. Get back to friendly waters. We need to get you fixed up. Naval airbase almost done. And then I'm gonna get 2 more frigates.
Structure destroyed.
Ah, they got my radar sight. Alright, I'm also gonna have to order a new radar sight. Naval airbase. Yeah, let's put that here somewhere. Allows for sonar, but also for fighters and attack bombers. I don't know if I took down that airport, but I think I might have. Enemy airbase destroyed. Yeah, I took it down. So at least I shouldn't be expecting any new aircraft in the short run. The cruiser is fine, the destroyer is fine, it's just the helicopter carrier that got damaged a bit. Alright. This one, the frigate rejoins the fleet. Research is done. Cruise missiles, what else would I like? One thing that I found with this mod is that it's really easy to get trapped in the tech tree. And with that, I mean, it's really easy to just go and get stuff that looks very promising. And then you eventually go, oh crap, I spent so long researching upgrades for my units that I don't actually have any nuclear capability. So you have to be really quite careful. You have to be really quite careful with that, because I found it to be a bit of a trap. Now, 2 frigates here. These guys do carry anti-ship missiles. They just only fire one of them. The destroyer can now also get changed into 2 different loadouts, or 3 actually. Air defense, which means they just get SAMs. They have the multi-mission, which is the loadout that I had, allowing them to use torpedoes, SAMs, and ship-to-ship missiles. Or you can go with the anti-sub, anti-ship, which means that they give up their SAMs in exchange for a better torpedo, anti-ship missiles, and again, no anti-air. Considering that the frigates are not capable of doing air defense, I'm going to set my destroyer up to only do air defense. And my cruiser is still capable of using SAMs and ship-to-ship missiles.
Production complete.
Alright, let's get some more production going. I want to have 2 radars and some coastal mobile missile batteries to ensure that my eastern flank is secure. If I put a coastal mobile missile battery next to Auckland and potentially into the northeast of Port Moresby, I should have enough coverage to at least get rid of shipping, provided that it's not underwater, of course. How exactly we detected a submarine here beats me. Maybe intel? Because I don't really have any kind of a spotting system out there. Alright, let's get that radar re-established. Then another radar site over here. And the next radar site's coming up. Radar intercept missiles are coming up. And I would also very much like to improve my long wave radar capability, so I can see much farther afield. Coastal mobile missile batteries, excellent. Hold on, did you say something's been destroyed? Yeah, radar site's been destroyed. Where? Here. We have an East Asia carrier group, which they spawned apparently to the south of Dhaka, west of Dagon, and it is now causing all sorts of problems here. So, let's use the coastal mobile missile battery to just take that down. I will also have to wait for the radar site, because without that, I'm not going to be capable of spotting them in time. Now, I believe that my attack range and the radar range are pretty similar. 990, 1000. Yeah, so they're very close, and that's when the improved radar system is going to come in very handy. There we are. Alright, I need you to move just a bit. There we go. Already almost blew a destroyer out of the water. That's one down. Now we can jump a little bit, and that's going to be the aircraft carrier in trouble. Alright, in the meanwhile, let's get our helicopter carrier back out here and see if East Asia has any more assets that need blowing up. In the meanwhile, we have the RIM missiles ready, the radar intercept missile. These things are ridiculously quick, and they travel at 6,000 speed. For example, a torpedo travels at 200, and a cruise missile or a ship missile at 1,000. So these are very, very quick. Not very long range, but they don't need to be, so long as they are able to kill whatever is coming at them, missile-wise, of course. Now I have 2 frigates, so I'm going to tell these frigates to continuously use their anti-submarine helicopters. And let's deploy another coastal mobile missile battery, which I had planned for about here. No production. I really should be queuing up more research. Let's go with 2 more coastal mobile missile batteries and 2 more radar sites. Carry on. Improved long wave radars coming up. Which should also allow me to see much farther afield when it comes to the... There we go. The East Asian threat. And the radar site here. Coastal mobile missile battery here. And in case the African Navy decides to make a push, I want to shield myself from that. So I'm going to have my actual navy over here, and the western flank is going to get protected by coastal mobile missile batteries. Now, advanced long-wave radar almost done. Let's go for some more tech. What would I like? Rather, how am I going to kill the enemy? How about starting with nuclear command and control and looking to get ICBMs instead of bombers this time around? So let's queue this one up and start preparing for our, well, inevitable offensive against East Asia, I suppose. Look at that. These ASW helos are making it almost impossible for a submarine to hide here. That's their sonar net. Let's just continue to here and set the whole navy to patrol. Alright, it's not unusual for a boomer to randomly show up here. I've had that happen before and I wasn't too pleased about it. So I want to ensure that that does not happen again. I'm not really too sure what to build next, actually.
Research complete.
Yeah, let's just go for a standard aircraft carrier. The standard aircraft carrier, pretty much the same as it was, now carries 10 attack bombers, 8 fighters, and 2 ASW helicopters. So really, really useful when it comes to dealing with submarines. Coastal mobile missile battery is done. What's going on here? Oh, we have a bit of a fight happening. This is another aircraft carrier from East Asia. Damn. Those guys are getting quite aggressive. And they seem to try to fly over my airspace, but I'm not quite sure what they're trying to hit. At least my fighters are not really too enthusiastic about their presence. Oh, they're heading to West Asia. If they're heading to West Asia, I don't need to intercept them. I'm perfectly fine with these guys just passing off and going all the way there. Alright, command and control is almost done. What's next? What is next? Well, we're going to need some kind of intelligence gathering, which this thing does not do. Where were the spy aircraft again? Reconnaissance aircraft. It's 25 minutes. Satellites? 10 minutes. I'll take a satellite. Now, after the...
Research complete.
There we go. The command bunker can be built. 5 minute 50. And I can only have one command bunker. Makes sense. Alright, this aircraft carrier is going to be joining in with the rest of the fleet. So you are going to be following the guys over here. Oh, the LHA carrier took some damage. They do carry the radar intercept missile, and so does the aircraft carrier, I thought? No, it doesn't. Okay. So this thing can defend itself against missiles, the aircraft carrier cannot. And we'll have to rely upon some other ships. And I can have my ASW helicopters, one here, and one there. And that is a massive sonar screen. Now let's bring the fleet back temporarily to allow for the repair of the LHA carrier. Arguably, the aircraft carrier should be the middle point of the fleet. Okay, the command bunker is almost complete. Let's put up some SAM networks. There we go, command bunker complete. If I want to use the command bunker, I have a decent range. And considering that ICBMs can be upgraded quite far, I'm going to put that right down in the middle of Australia. And it will allow all the silos around it, as well as
Research
SSBNs,
complete.
I believe, to get boosted. Okay, satellites are done. Next tech, let's start getting short-range ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. 36 minutes in. Alright, time to get some intel gathering after that. 3 satellites should do it. And we can bring the fleet back out. Time to speed things along. Mobile SAM. Let's defend our SAM sites here. Oh, sorry, our radar sites. Because all that the enemy would need to do is knock out my radar site in order for me to go completely blind and that the coastal mobile missile batteries don't work anymore. So yes, I'll also be using these to defend my towns, my cities. But for now, I feel like it's a bit more critical to defend the radar sites and the coastal mobile missile batteries, lest I have to invest more in getting those things back. Looks like we found an enemy airbase somewhere. Let's bring out the fighters. My fighters are unupgraded, so they're just carrying the standard missiles. The thing is that my ships can, if the enemy aircraft get close enough, they can use their SAMs, but they're not, because the enemy is not close enough. So there's an airbase here somewhere, I just don't know where. Let's send a sacrificial bomber to go and have a look. Unfortunately, of course, the radar range on these things is not great, shall we say? So you really have to do a lot of back and forth in order to hope to find it. Nothing. Alright. If I would want to get AWACS aircraft, so the scouting aircraft for the carrier also. 56 minutes. Bye. That's not going to be happening. Right. I'm going to leave you guys here. In the next episode, the next part of this probably 2 to 3-parter video, we're going to be looking into actually getting the fleet further upgraded, preparing for nuclear war, and possibly kicking that war off. So join me next time, and that's going to be up in a few days. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks very much to Tarsus for upgrading his mod. So much stuff has been added, and you can find it down below in the description and on this Steam workshop. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in a few days.